Well, hello there. Welcome back. Good evening and welcome to the Forum Sunday Surgery Live, the stream that brings you the news and information from the workforce and the workplace on behalf of the North East region. My name is Scott Haslam, President of the Leeds #1 branch. And tonight's session, I am joined by not only Katrina Quirke, CW Postal Executive Member. Hello, Kat. Dave Hutchinson, Area Distribution Rep. Hello, Dave. Vicki Turner, Parcelforce Northern Regional Chair. Hello, Vicki. And not least, Chris Nicholls, the Parcelforce LD Rep from Newcastle. Hello, Chris. Tonight, we want to talk about the RDC processing function and Parcelforce specifically tonight. So, hi, guys. So, let me know where you're watching from. Post your questions in the stream wherever you're watching it from. We'll try and get to as many of those as we can throughout the session. And to help us reach any more members, please share, tag your colleagues, and also please consider subscribing to the Leeds YouTube channel and the Leeds and North East Facebook pages. So let's get this session going. So I think it'd be worth to have a bit of a recap, Kat. Sort of the last sort of 12 months, where were we as regards sort of the Parcelforce side of stuff with the company, and contrast that perhaps with how we were and how we were feeling in the RDC type of situation.
Okay, thanks for that, Scott. And firstly, I'd like to thank Scott, the Leeds #1 branch and the North East region for arranging this session. And of course, a big thank you to you, the members. This last year, to be honest, has probably been one of the toughest years our members have faced. We were in dispute with the business. The Parcelforce section of the business were informed they were going to be two-feed into a new company. And if we just look at what's actually happening now in the news, if that had happened, if we'd allowed Parcelforce members to be two-feed, they could be facing exactly what British Gas is facing now, what BT is facing now, which is an absolute disgrace, an attack on their terms and conditions, and not improving those terms and conditions, actually making them worse. Where in society would we be if we'd allowed that to happen? Of course, we've all been affected by COVID, and being told last year that we were going to lose 12,000 jobs from our industry. We had successfully balloted for industrial action, and yet we couldn't take any action due to COVID and the pandemic. They then sacked Rico, and the business started to talk once more with the CWU and listen to you, the membership, their employees. Through sheer determination, we managed to get the pathway to change agreement. This agreement gives us commitments on the strategy and future direction of the company, culture, capturing parcel growth, which is incredibly important to the progress of Royal Mail Group. Very important to our members, job security, technology, agreements on technology. When you think back to what they wanted us to do, they basically wanted us to be tagged in the workplace. Wherever we went, they would know where we were. We got an agreement around that. They want to improve efficiency, and why wouldn't they? After we successfully negotiated a 2.7 pay rise, 1% pay rise that everybody will see in their pay packets at the end of this month, and an hour off the shorter working week. And of course, they want to restore the relationships and improve on culture. So instead of managing decline now, we are in the growth arena. These commitments are so important for all our members, and of course, it's excellent news for our RDCs and our Parcelforce members. So looking back at last year, we've got to think we've come a long way. And when I say a long way, I really mean that. The future is really positive for Royal Mail and Parcelforce. We're all part of that, and we will assist them grow. While doing that, we will protect our jobs, our pay, terms and conditions. So I think that's a brief overview, Scott, for us to get going. And I'll pass it back to you.
Excellent. No, so that's it's a good reminder of where we were 12 months ago for sure. And you know, I mean, just you did cover off a little bit of the culture, so I think we'll give the national comms team a bit of a plug, if we may. So on Tuesday, they are holding a live session with Terry Pullinger. The decal is on screen now, and the CEO, Simon Thomas, will be joining them at 6:30, Tuesday the 20th. So put that in your diaries and log on. Certainly see how they will be jointly challenging the culture in Royal Mail. So, I mean, Scott, yes, mate.
Scott, sorry to go off track a little bit, but just on this video that Terry and Simon are doing, it is so important that our members actually complete the trust survey that is opening tomorrow. That is because this is the first one that the CW have been part of. We are actually part of that. We've helped compile some of the questions. We will get to see those results. We will be part of planning what happens in all units across Royal Mail Group. So it is really, really important that we actually complete that survey and get involved.
Excellent. So if there's one thing you do after this session is go away and look for how to do that. I had the flyer through yesterday morning, and there's a QR code on that you can scan. You can do it through the People app, and then there's a short bit.ly/RNGAPR21, and that will get you through to the survey. So in terms of the background to this is to Vicki, Dave, and Chris. What sort of impression did you get from members on the front line, so to speak, with the change in tack from what was the ex-CEO and recall back? How was people feeling there compared to they are now? Dave, do you want to pick that up from an RDC perspective?
Yeah, thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. I think, I mean, a while back when Rico back came in, and there was literally total contempt for the CWU, I think, at all levels, and it was steamrolling through all our national agreements that we'd built up over years and years. And me personally, a couple of the area managers who I dealt with, the RDCs and Royal Mail distribution, they were saying quite clearly that. And I'll quote them: Rico's coming for you. It's coming for the CWU, and we had to stand fast. And there's been, as Katrina said, there's been a huge shift change in the business approach to the CWU. I think they've jointly sat down and recognised the need. The pandemic's brought on incredible amounts of traffic volume, and particularly that seen coming through the RDCs, but every part of the business will realise the amount of traffic that's coming through. So I think it's all positives for us now. I've got to say, from an RDC specific point of view, a number of years back we went through downstream access where huge posters were circumventing Royal Mail and going straight to the delivery officers. That in particular affected the RDCs in general, and hopefully when we get into the resource realignment, which we sort of got the green light literally last week. I think we had a joint start-up meeting for all our reps to be trained. Similar thing to what we did a couple of years ago, for the original shorter work, for the second part of the shorter working week. We're ready to go. We're in the planning stages now. I think I've got to say it's positive. You know, shorter working week, pay rise, but that for me, the other thing was the maintaining our terms and conditions. It's huge for us. Things like this, managing the surplus agreement, things like that, huge for us. But definite a shift change from Royal Mail towards the CWU. They're engaging. They're more engaging now than possibly last year. Certainly from last year. So I think from my own personal point of view is that positives all the way through now. Volumes secures jobs, enhances earnings, and we will be in a. I think from an RDC point of view, I think we'll be into significant recruitment following the implementation of the resource realignment, which is basically having to, where the work's coming in now, a lot of our RDCs duty structure is probably not fit for purpose to where we was previously. We streamlined traffic. Now we need to realign our duties. Probably not massively, but certainly in some areas we have to look at more inventive ways of managing that workload, Scott.
I think we'll get on to the realignment aspects shortly. So in terms of the contrasting with Royal Mail and the Parcelforce situation for Chris and Vicki, was there a bit more sort of concern about the state of the jobs given this threat of TUPE? Just to sort of try and hear some of the sort of front line views of the approach the company was taking towards the staff. Vicki, do you want to come in?
Yeah. Afternoon, everybody. Thanks, Scott. I think it's exactly as Katrina said. Certainly with what's happening with British Gas at the moment and BT and other companies out there, we had that very, very real fear before that's even happened to these other companies. When we got that letter, and it literally was a letter from the then managing director. Just been totally bypass the or try to. I just think all the headquarters and the national team and where we are now it's just unbelievable.
Excellent. Do you want to come in at that point, Chris, just from the LDs? Because I know it's a slightly different dynamics in the LD because you've got some owner drivers and you've got like actual employed members staff. What were the sort of concerns there? Go on, you're live. You're live. That's it. We can hear you.
The mood of the members. Sorry, Scott.
Go on.
The mood of the members when TUPE was mentioned and being proposed was pretty dark. It was probably the most worried that I've ever been in nearly 25 years in the business, and seeing people. The way people were concerned with what was going to be the future for Parcelforce wasn't good, and the position that we were in was.
Oh, I think Chris has dropped off there, so I'm sure he'll be bouncing back at any point. But if we move the agenda along, so Dave sort of touched on briefly, didn't he, about the realignment, Katrina? So. Particularly as I recall, there were an LTB 058, which was issued about the guidelines for the 2021 realignment activity to rebalance the operation. So in terms of rebalancing the operation, specifically, what does that sort of mean for the RDCs then?
Well, what it means, Scott, is previously in 2018, when we did the first realignment for the shorter working week, this realignment is going to be similar to that, only it's going to be bigger. And when I say bigger, we are actually looking at investment. It means that there's going to be investment in RDCs. Two of the RDCs are having massive investment at this moment, i.e. the Northwest hub and the new Midlands hub. So there is millions being invested in there. But what it means for our members is that there's going to be a realignment of duties. However, what we're hoping is that we have duties that will suit everybody, Scott. Due to the growth that we've got, we will need now to operate 24/7 in every RDC. And what we've done previously was rely heavily on agency. what this realignment is going to do is we are going to actually create new jobs and reduce our reliance on agency. So across the whole RDC network, we are expecting to have an increase of circa 600 new jobs. It could be a bit more, it could be slightly less, but if we look at around 600 new jobs, and that's not in the new hubs, Scott, this is in the actual RDC network now. So when we do this realignment, we will have flexible resource in there. However, they will be our employees. We will not be relying heavily on agency moving forward. We want to change agency hours into contracted hours for our new members. It'll also mean that people who are part-time will have the opportunity, if they want, to move to full-time. It will mean more innovative duty patterns, different options, and, you know, hopefully a better working environment for all the RDCs, because these people will have contracts. They will have a future in Royal Mail, whereas our agency flexible resource at present doesn't. And surely it's better to be working in an environment where you know that you've got a full pay packet at the end of the week, what you're going to earn, that your terms and conditions are protected, that you've got a strong union there to ensure you are looked after moving forward. So this realignment, Scott, is really, really important for the whole RDC membership, because it'll give us a shorter working week and hopefully better ways of working in the RDCs. So hopefully I've covered that for the RDC, Scott.
Excellent. Do you have any extra comments on that, Dave? You know, particularly how the local reps maybe are approaching this realignment, because I do understand they are in sort of discussions of exploring duty sets, and we were in this perverse situation, wasn't it, where they'd done this revision based on previous historical data, then the pandemic hit, and a surge in and massive growth, and we're having to basically go back to basics and start again.
No, well, Katrina's exactly right, Scott. You know, it's a positive message for RDCs. From a local point of view, Yorkshire Distribution Centre, we've got a rep release now as from Tuesday, the local rep. He'll be working with the production control manager, and we'll be looking at everything 12 months data, as every RDC rep will be doing. The last 12 months data, looking at agency hours, overtime hours, pressure overtime, etc., with a view to creating more structured Royal Mail full-time and maybe part-time jobs. I mean, as Katrina said, you know, we have to look at it now. I mean, in particular in Yorkshire, Sunday will be one of our busiest days, and we have to realign some of our duties to accommodate that. Now, there might be new duties that's coming in as part of the recruitment process. This is not to say that everybody who currently works in an RDC will be working Saturday and Sunday. It'll be down to the local negotiation, and it will bring about job security, and we will be able to go out to customers and say, well, we've got trained staff running our machines, etc., 7 days a week. Come and post your traffic through us.
Excellent. So in terms of, I mean, we've covered off that quite well in terms of the RDC network, but one would think that if there's been growth across not just Royal Mail as an individual company, but also within the Parcelforce, so one would presume there'd be some form of realignment or some revision activity within Parcelforce. So Katrina, would you be able to cover off perhaps what sort of expectation of revision activity may be happening in the Parcelforce area, please?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so through the members' superb support for the CW against being tupied, and we've already touched on that. It's a battle that we've won. what we've agreed with Parcelforce is that we will roll out the technology roadmap. And we've already started to roll this out. So what this means is we've agreed new planning values, and I'll just add here that the planning values we agreed back in 2018-19. However, because we were in dispute, we would not allow the business to roll them out. So we've agreed the new planning values, which we did check before we rolled them out. So we've also agreed the route analytics, which is known as PRA, and route balancer, which is known as PRB. This is for C&D members, and we're going to roll that out, and it will have an impact on the way that the duties are done every day. It will mean that they are seen very much like what happens in delivery with outdoor actuals. The PRA actually shows exactly the way the route has been operated that day, so you can actually follow a van on a route. With REX, which is something that all our C&D people are aware of, you're supposed to follow a sequence and hit time windows. It's hoped that this technology roadmap will assist with that. And we've rolled out so far to 15 depots. We will get them all rolled out by the end of May. If they hit those time windows and follow the sequence, that then kicks in and gives them an increase in their bonus payment. And when I say increase, it's because when they've been doing it previously, Scott, they haven't been hitting targets, and they haven't actually been able to earn very much bonus. But if we get this right, they should be able to hit the £16 a week bonus on that. So for our depot indoor people in warehouse admin and customer experience, what we've agreed is to evaluate the indoor performance against 90% BSI. What that means is we're going to look at the start time. We're going to look at the night shift loading the vehicles for our C&D drivers. We're going to review the resource mix on the late shift. We're also going to remove the reliance on agency in Parcelforce as well. And we're going to review the indoor and the indoor CX, which is the customer experience. What's important here is we do not see any job losses anywhere. We've already, Scott, over the last 12 months, employed over 750 new people in Parcelforce. That would not have happened if we hadn't won the battle for 2p. If we had not won that fight, that wouldn't have happened. So we've already got 750 new jobs in Parcelforce. We're going to do the reviews. It's hoped that we can get to the shorter working week. But this is what we've got to do for the shorter working week, and it's hoped that we can get there by June. If it's not June, then it'll definitely be July. But we're working really, really hard on it. And as I say, the results of what we've done so far has been positive, and the majority of our members are getting on with the job and delivering what's being asked of them.
Excellent. So there's a comment that's come in actually just this minute. There's a few other ones which I think we'll pick up as we go on to the next bit, but one of them's from a Jeff, and is asking about the 15% increase in STEM times to go back to the original after the lockdown. Some can't keep up. I mean, the STEM times doesn't mean a great deal to me, but so I'm presuming it's a Parcelforce thing. Is that something you make some clarity on for Jeff, please?
Right. What happened was when we were in COVID, when we were in complete lockdown, everybody will be aware that the traffic on the roads, that there wasn't any actual traffic on the roads. You didn't have the rush hours as such. And what Parcelforce did was they adjusted the speed times, if you like, the road measurements. And what happens as you go in to this rollout, the technical rollout, your speeds will be put back to what they were originally. Now, because we're not fully out of lockdown, those depots that are yet to go in to the rollouts, their speeds will still be at what they were, i.e. during COVID. When we came out of lockdown last summer for a couple of months, we had, not us, the business adjusted the speeds back then to what they should. So those speeds will be adjusted back once, by the end of May, everybody will have the correct speed because everybody will have been rolled out on the technology roadmap. If that's hopefully that's clear enough.
Everyone's back to work. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. That I've learned something myself. To be fair, so in terms of moving that then on, so we've sort of kind of touched off about the external resources and such, haven't we? And certainly from an RDC perspective, external resource generally refers to agency, and in terms of Parcelforce, that tends not to be so much agency, although I think there may well be some agency. So the whole agreement is about reducing the external resource. So why is that important, and how are we going to achieve that? Obviously, we've touched on the realignment aspect will be one element of that.
Well, just on that alone, last year, Parcelforce alone spent £50 million on agency. That is extremely high. What Parcelforce want to do now is they want to have two types of resource. One is Parcelforce, and the other is the owner drivers. The agreement we have for that is it's 25%, 75%. So it's 75% red van, our fleet, and 25% flexible resource. That is what we're heading for. It's the same in the RDCs. Because of the peaks and troughs in RDCs, we relied heavily on agency in there. What we've agreed to do now is to reduce our reliance on agency and have our own people as the flexible resource in the RDCs. So what we're doing there is everybody will be having, contracted jobs. We will have people in RDCs that may have to change shift. So 1 week they could be on mornings, maybe for 2 or 3 weeks, and then they will have notice, very much like we used to do, 30 years ago when I started in the business. You would then maybe do nights for a week. You might do an afternoon shift. But I think what we've also got to be aware of in the RDCs is we can't just have the 6 till 2, 2 till 10, 10 till 6 duty patterns. We've got to look at the innovative duties that will make the flexible resource being part of our workforce, i.e. part of Royal Mail rather than agency. That's what we've got to aim for. So it is about reducing agency. It's not that we dislike agency. It's we would rather than be actually employed by Royal Mail than have a reliable workforce that can do the jobs rather than have agency coming in, us having to train them every time and not getting full, what's the word? The expertise that we get from our own workforce, to be perfectly honest. So hopefully that covers that.
Yeah. How would you like to see that deployed then within the RDC then, Dave? In terms of the agency removing, how do you see it working?
Well, we've agreed as part of the joint working group which Kat runs, and we've agreed the process with the business of how we get to the point where each RDC will know where the additional resource is required for the workload. So we've already, at the YDC, we've already introduced in recent months a Sunday to Wednesday late shift. We took some Amazon working on a Sunday, which were time critical in terms of scanning, and we also have some tracked work on a Sunday. Now, prior to that, we had agency, and on a Sunday night alone, the YDC has about 70 agency in. So we have to react to that, and we're not saying that everybody is going to go from a Monday to Friday nights to a Sunday night in. But what we have looked at, and we'll continue to do so, is that we need to cover that workload on a Sunday night. So we might put Sunday, Monday, Tuesday night shifts in, 3 days, innovative duties, as Kat said. We might put a 4-night in. We might put Sunday 5 nights in. I think now is a time in RDCs to have a real look at it and what we can do for our people. Not everybody wants a 3-nighter. Some people want to stay Monday to Friday. And I think we'll be able to accommodate them because the amount of traffic we're looking to align our people to, and the new people, by the way. I mean, just going back 18 months, I think, when we did the first sort of resource realignment for the original shorter working week, we went external for a number of people. Not many, and then people came in on the jobs that none of our current staff at the YDC wanted. And then jobs, I think there were, and I might be wrong here, but I think they were like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night or something like that. Now that on Royal Mail salary, you look at your Sunday premium, your night shift, these people were literally coming off from the job centre or ex-agency, applying through the normal process that Royal Mail have. And it's a £600 a week plus pensionable paid job in Royal Mail with all the security and all the terms and conditions that our people that's been there for years and years enjoy. So it's an opportunity to really have a good look at where we are as an RDC family, if you like, nationally, and look to put the jobs in. We have to align to workload without a doubt. We can't get away from that. We can't put jobs in where there's nothing to do. We've bought into this agreement. We've protected everything. And now's a chance to have a real good look at it, and I think it's a great opportunity.
Cool. Excellent. Thanks for that, Dave. Vicki, are you back in?
Yes.
Yeah, you're on. That's it. Excellent. Do you have agency within the customer services side of role? Or is that one of the few parts of the company that we seem to avoid external resource on?
No, we do have agency in customer services. Nowhere near as much, to be fair, as other parts of the business, but yes, we do. We do have an element of.
Does that vary from site to site, or is it kind of fairly similar across the company?
We've got 5 central customer service sites. Wakefield possibly being the biggest, Kat. I think it is. And Coventry Customer Services, second behind Wakefield. They're the 2 biggest sites that rely on external resource from time to time. But we are looking, exactly the same as to try and make those permanent resource.
Yeah, excellent. So another aspect of the pathway to change, Kat, and I think you kind of touched on it at some point this evening already, but it sort of reaffirms all the existing national agreements. So one particular national agreement that it covers or sort of firms up is the MTSF. Now, the MTSF protections will remain in place, and for a lot of people know that for leaving the business on good terms. So would that actually mean that we're in a growth situation? We're going to be taking people, but also paying people off?
No, what the Pathway to Change agreement is about, it's about a growth agenda. We're in a growth arena. And what's so important here is in there, we actually have words that says there will be no VRs if there's agency in a plant. And let's be perfectly clear about this as well. VR for us is a last resort. This union is about protecting the jobs that we've got, protecting our terms and conditions. And although we have an excellent agreement called the MTSF, if we can avoid using it, that's what we want to do. We want to keep employed as many people as we possibly can. That is why we are saying that we don't want agency in. It's not that we've got anything against agency or the people who work for agencies, but what we want to do is offer firm jobs. And as Dave touched on, these jobs are worthwhile jobs. They're not, minimum wage jobs, that you're paid a decent wage in Royal Mail Group. And we want to protect those jobs. So VR is always a last resort for us. And that would have been frightening if they'd had their way last year and given VR to 12,000 people, because that would have meant decline for this industry. And that can't be right. It's got to be right that we protect the jobs and grow the industry that we all work in. Let's look at what we've got for the future. Jobs for us at this time, jobs for future generations moving forward. And although the MTSF is there, Scott, surely it's more important to have decent work and decent roles that people can actually earn money in.
I agree entirely. Particularly when I deem myself to be relatively young in the modern workplace at my depot, and I'm 40. So, I'd rather have a decent job for the next 20, 30 years than have a payoff and then still have to work somewhere at half the money. So, no, you're absolutely right on that one. I think, the next topic I'd like to cover off is about full-time members getting a shorter working week, and that will be deployed through the sort of realignment and then the consequence of that. And part-time members, we don't tend to have a lot of part-time people in the YDC, is my understanding. I'm sure there's the odd one or two. I'm not familiar with the Parcelforce setup. Chris, although his camera is off, he has got sound. I'm not sure whether part-time is a particular situation or a reality in the LDs or in the customer services, but where there is part-timers, what activity, how would that realignment activity benefit these part-time members?
Well, in our depot, we've got minimal part-time. There's no part-time drivers, and there's no part-time night shift. We do have early sorters and late loaders. So in reality, it doesn't really affect them at all, the shorter working week, other than getting a slightly higher pay rise.
Excellent. Do you want to cover off anything else, Dave or Vicky or Kat, on that element?
Just you mentioned that you might. Oh, sorry, Kat. You mentioned the YDC. I don't think we've ever directly recruited to part-time roles in the YDC. I think it's been full-timers who've opted to go to part-time for flexible working. We try and bring everyone in full-time if we can, Scott. Sorry to interrupt you, Kat.
No, I was just going to say, obviously there are part-timers across the industry, and hopefully if they are part-time and they want an uplift to full-time hours, then we'll be able to accommodate that. If they don't want an uplift in hours in what we're doing, then yeah, they will get the pay increase. Let's just be clear on it. Not everybody does want full-time hours, so we have got to be aware that if people do want to remain part-time, they will get an uplift in pay. I think it's worth around 2%, 2 point something. I'm not really 100% sure on the figures, so I don't want to give that percentage out. But it's well worthwhile. You don't reduce the hours. Bearing in mind our shorter working week, we're heading for 35 hours. That is our aim. We're getting there. This will put us to 37 hours. those people coming in now, Scott, as well, if they will be brought in on 35 hours in the RDCs. In Parcelforce, it's a little different, but they will be brought in on 35 hours. However, if the work is there, they could get a temporary uplift to 37 hours going forward. So, as I say, it's all about growth. Even for our part-timers, it's a growth industry. It's an increase in pay. That's a growth. Everything's growth that we're talking about.
Excellent. I think now might be the we've got some echo. Might be a good point to sort of go back into the comments. And when we're talking about growth, the company, in terms of Raw Mail, are actually showing that growth by investing in 3 super hubs, if you want a better phrase. And there's a question there in the comments about what the potential impact may have on an RDC network when those 3 super hubs go online. Has there been any sort of conversations about how that might work out, or what would we expect?
Just on that, at the moment, there's only 2 plans. They haven't got a site for the potential third one, but we have got 2 planned. Now, in the Northwest one, which is the Amiga site, that is being built. The machine is being built in there as we speak. People have been moved to an adjacent site. Yeah, it will have an impact, but we're already working on that for the Northwest one. It will be that it just processes parcels. Now, the Midlands one is going to be even bigger than the Northwest one. We're just getting started on that. That's being built as we speak. It's not too far from NDC. However, that will be able to process more parcels more quickly. But what I would say is when we're looking at the plans for that, you actually see those plans where what work will be fed into those super hubs, if you like, and what will go back out. So there is no proposal that any RDC will be shut. They will all still function. They will all be fully utilised, and they will all get enough work to keep them going. Bearing in mind what we're talking about here today is growth, and it is, grow. Even with the shops opening and things moving forward and coming out of lockdown, it's still growth for the RDCs. People are still wanting their parcels, and whether we're shipping to stores or people's homes, there is no plans to lose any of the RDCs. We've had commitments that all RDCs will remain in place. So it's a good story for all of us. It's really positive.
Excellent. I mean, funny enough, the RDC network is, these hubs particularly are going to take on the non-premium stuff, aren't they, in terms of the non-tracked. So on that basis, the RDC network is still going to be required to process the track stuff and the MOR bulk stuff anyway, isn't it? So yeah. So right, we'll move on to we kind of covered it off a little bit, to be fair, about structures and that, but the planning side of stuff will be incorporating that hour reduction with this. Do we expect, say, that next year with another hour that there'll be another drains up affair, or could that be that they'll look at just natural efficiencies? Has there been conversations around what the future revision activity may be for the RDC network next year?
So for the RDCs, I think what we've got to remember is that we've agreed to do ongoing realignment, and that doesn't mean to say that it will be massive revisions or realignments. It'll be a realignment of what is required. So you know, we've got to look at that. We do weekly resource meetings. We have quarterly bigger meetings. The National Joint Working Group that Dave is part of with me, that we keep a check on what's happening. We've got to keep measuring the traffic. We've got to ensure that it's handled properly, that we meet our dispatch times, that we get it through the RDC in an efficient way. So I see us doing realignments continuously. It doesn't have to be a big one, but if something happens and we get new customers, new contracts, we might have to realign, you know, parts of the RDC. If we lose some contracts, because let's be totally honest, it's not all about new contracts coming in. Sometimes we do lose some, and we might have to make changes there. But overall, if we do this realignment, it goes well. Why wouldn't, and we need to do another realignment next year for another hour off the shorter working week. Why wouldn't we do exactly the same that we're doing this year if it proves to be efficient and we get wins out of it? This realignment for the RDCs is going to be big wins. It really is. And I'm really pleased to be, you know, leading the joint working group on this going forward. It's a big wins for all the RDCs, this realignment, new jobs, better ways of working, better shift patterns, better opportunities to earn.
Excellent. So we're talking quite a bit there about the RDC network. What sort of tools will be used? I've read quite a few bits about REX and how REX will work for Parcelforce LDs. Is that something you can speak with Chris about and sort of explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, obviously it's been quite a long road to get to where we're at with REX and the delivery predictions. It's quite a big change for drivers to get used to being instructed where to deliver to what times and everything else. Some drivers have picked it up a little bit quicker than others, but our Depot Newcastle LD's REX conformity now is over the 90% target on most days, and with that comes the bonus that was agreed in the last pay deal. So overall, it's been quite tough. But with the changes that's come in recently that Katrina mentioned earlier, the hope is that the routes will be balanced a lot better than they have been, and workloads will be correct, really, and what the business expect and what the union expect of the drivers will be done more regularly on a daily basis. So even though there's been, trust us, there's been a lot of opposition from drivers on REX, I think overall, or I know actually overall, because I'm a driver and I've seen the change in my round, that it's a positive thing and it's a good thing, and it can be used more to the driver's advantage than others, because the main problem that we've had at Newcastle isn't drivers not doing enough work, it's drivers doing too much work. It's drivers going out and doing above and beyond what anybody's expected to be, and they're the drivers that have had to change more than the drivers who used to take out a steady day's work. But overall, it's a good thing, and I think it's very positive for the future. And me personally, over the last year, since REX came in as an auto route where you didn't have any sort of manipulations, drivers used to be able to draw the line and set their day out, I've had my break more times over the last year than I ever had before, and a lot of drivers are reporting that, so it's a good thing.
Excellent. So it sounds very much like it's brilliant for the members in terms of their own health and safety, to be good, if they're actually now having a proper meal break en route. But as I understand it, the REX is supposed to help forecast delivery times so that the customers know more accurately when will be due their delivery. Is that the makes of it then, Kat?
Yeah, what it is, Scott, is we in Parcelforce, they get contracts, bearing in mind that Parcelforce are the premium parcel side, one of the top parcel companies in the UK. And what customers want now, they want that hour window. They want to know what time their parcel is going to arrive with its customer. They want to be able to track that parcel. They want proof of delivery. So contracts are sold on that, and without RECs, Parcelforce wouldn't win these lucrative contracts. So it's like a roundabout, if that makes sense. From the CWU perspective, what we want is a fair day's work for a fair day's wage. The route balancer, the route analytics and RECs now gives our drivers that. So basically, if you've got too many parcels on, you can be offered extra overtime SA to deliver those if it takes you over your time. But if you don't, you can actually say, I can't do these. I want these 6 or 8 parcels taken off, and somebody else would then have to do them. And what it means is our people now are getting a balanced day. There's no more tearing around in the morning. They've got steady work throughout the day. They've got the time windows. They follow a scheduled route, which we can see. If there's any issues, they can be raised and we can deal with them. If there's issues on the routes, they put it in a portal and we can deal with them. So we're having a lot more interaction now through RECs with the C&D membership. And overall, we believe that it will be better for them in the long run, because it shows that they are doing a full day's work and they can't be asked to do more. If the load balancer says, right, you've got your 90 utilisation on, anything in between 85 and 95%, you're good to go. It goes green, you're good to go. They can't say take another 10 parcels. It's, it works. It will work for our membership moving forward.
Excellent. So I think we're going to start wrapping it up now, if we may, because we're approaching that hour target that we set out for today. So in terms of sort of the final thoughts, if we can go around as the panel, if we want to start with Dave, what are your thoughts about the future? Optimistic? How optimistic you are the future, and just sort of give it your final thoughts of the day.
Thanks, Scott. Very optimistic. It's positive all the way through for RDCs. Things are going to move at pace, and they are moving at pace. I mean, only last week I was made aware of some new roles that will be coming to the YDC on a Sunday morning to do some cross-docking to get the mail out to the LAT hubs, because Sunday deliveries are starting to happen in that area. So it's more work into the RDCs. And just finishing off from me, we've gone through probably a 2-year dispute with the business. We're now on an even keel, and in every function, the CWU have more than ever have got a place at the table in terms of discussing local change, local duties and revision activities. So there's nothing to fear. It's all positives, in my opinion. And thanks for today, Scott. Much appreciated, and Kat and the other guys.
Excellent. Vicki, do you want to have a final say on how are you feeling with customer service and the northern region?
Again, just to echo everything that's been said during today's session. I know Kat's said numerous times it's about growth, and that can only be a good thing. And obviously, Dave's just touched on that as well. I think in regards to Parcelforce, again, it can't stress enough how important it was to beat the TUPE situation. It's just so unbelievably massive. And again, like Dave's just said, the the relationships that are being rebuilt between management and the CW representatives and things like that can also only be a good thing. In Parcelforce, we have joint working groups. It's very much people at the coalface, so to speak, are involved and work really well with national headquarters. Like Katrina is so supportive, and I put on record my thanks for that and what you've done for customer services, because it's just, we can't thank you enough, essentially. Yeah, and I think I'll leave it there. And also thanks for the session. I've enjoyed it.
It's different, isn't it? Chris, do you want to wrap it up from the LD perspective, mate?
Yeah, well, as far as the future goes, the optimism is sky high, especially when you compare what's happening now to where we were when we were battling Chupi and all the fears around Chupi. I don't know if I got cut off earlier when I was talking about how my members felt when the threat of Chupi was on us. We had a couple of members who've gone through Chupis at other companies, 2 separate companies, and they both said exactly the same thing of what happens after Chupi, and that's what everybody thought was going to happen. So to get from there to the recent pay deal has been amazing, and it's testament to the work of not just the people at the top of the union, but all the members for supporting as well. But particular shout outs to Terry and Davey and Kat herself as well, for the people at the top of the union who dealt with this really well, and massive shout out to the members who came with us all the way. So I'm looking forward to the future.
Excellent. And Kat, the executive lead for both the RDCs and Parcelforce, how would you like to wrap up tonight's session?
Well, firstly, to thank everyone, Dave, Chris, Vicki, and of course yourself and the Northeast region, and anybody watching. Massive thanks for that. But I think you know, a lot was covered there by Dave, Vicki, and Chris in summing up. So I think what I'd like to say, Scott, is the future is CW, RMG working together and moving forward. Look at what a different leader at the top of Royal Mail Group has meant for us, for all of us, from you know, the postal executive right down to our RMSPF members. It's made a huge difference. And you know, the future is the CWU working with Royal Mail Group to ensure that our terms and conditions are protected, and we continue to work together, continue to grow this industry into something that we are all really, really proud of. And just once more, thanks everybody.
Excellent. Well, that's rounded it off lovely for today's session. So I'd like to personally thank Dave, Chris, Vicki, and Katrina yourself for taking the time out on a Sunday afternoon when you could quite easily have been in a beer garden. And I'm sure that many of the viewers will be watching in a beer garden rather than at home with on the settee. But on that, what today's session has showed us is that unity really is strength. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next Sunday when we have Steve Halliwell on, Graham Pudsey, and a secret guest. So do tune in for that one at noon next Sunday. Take care, everybody.